Hello, everybody. Right, let's just get some posts out there
Back
saying
without
we're
an
live.
echo. Yeah.
Yeah,
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, good stuff. How you do? How was your first week at work? Exciting times.
It's been great, man. I love it. Like I'm always up early anyway, so I've been getting up at probably I don't know 5ish, and then get to work by 7, work till 4 o'clock because I'm working with the on call guy for the next 6 months, so just a little bit different hours, but it's nice, man. The day to day is nice. Already learning quite a bit. I like it a lot more than sales. So
good.
yeah, how's Egg Week going for you guys?
Pretty eggy as usual. It's I think it's going pretty much like last time. Of course, this time I don't know. Speaking for myself, of course, we knew what to expect, and
Hmm.
I think what surprised me. Now, I've lost about just over 2 kilos in in 4 days, and so that's whatever it is, 4.5 pounds, and yeah, that was a bit surprising. So it seems that this time around, following it a little bit more closely, it seems I'm losing more weight than if I was fasting.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, yeah, it's crazy stuff. And of course, it doesn't have obviously you don't have all the advantages of fasting, but I suppose one advantage is that you can eat and lose body fat, very effective. And I think exactly the same experience as last time, which was I kind of get my interest in food just seems to diminish into nothingness. So and I don't have a. I'm gonna keep eating eggs next week when I'm not doing egg week. So it's not like I'm going. I'm not gonna go completely off eggs, but it's just it's like the whole interest in food just kind of disappears. Very interesting um, psychological phenomenon. If it is psychological, I don't know.
Mm.
What
I
about you,
think
Jen?
this is, yeah, well, this is what I was thinking is there more to it than we know currently? Because you'd expect to lose more while you're fasting, whereas I've done the same as Klaus. I'm down 2 kilograms in 5 days. Um, the first day I was quite tired, but then the rest of the days I had great energy levels. And I think it was fantastic in resetting the sort of cravings from Christmas.
Yes.
Like I'd I would look at things in the house and think, oh, that looks delicious, or at work when you're out and about and you think, oh, I wish I could have that. Whereas when I was still eating just like the carnivore diet, I was still craving those foods. Whereas you tell yourself and you set yourself um, this ambition or instruction of you can only eat eggs for a week. So if you're hungry, the only thing you can eat is an egg. So knowing that, and the first day it was just 11 hard-boiled eggs, and then the other days it was just scrambled eggs because it was just easier while I've been at work and stuff like that. But um, well, they're both hard to get down after sort of egg number 8.
Yeah.
Um, and I did try and get down another 10 yesterday, but it just didn't happen at all. I tried my best, but no way. Just
It's
can't
just
do it.
not.
And yeah, and then, but you can feel your body is completely different in each morning you wake up. Like this morning, my stomach obviously had nothing in there, and I've done a couple of bowel movements this week, and they were
Yeah.
very weird. Like I don't know about you, but it's like a like a warmed up McFlurry. It's basically what came out.
Yeah, I just had even less than usual. I think
Tiny.
yeah, I normally have very tiny on carnivore anyway, but this
Yeah.
was even less obviously because the amount of food is less, so it's just less. I think I I had one day with no bowel movement at all, so just jumped over a day, and
Yeah, that was yesterday for me.
yeah, I think yeah, it might
I
have been.
think.
I'm not sure, but yeah, otherwise the same as usual. Very everything works well, and as
Mm,
last time, I feel I feel better. Just like when I
mm,
fast, I feel better when I fast than when I don't fast, and I feel better when I do egg week than if
mm.
I don't.
Well, Klaus,
Um,
you usually
I think.
do one meal a day, right?
I
Maybe
for
two.
a long time I've done, let's say, 1.5 meals. So I've done 2 meals, but kind of the main one, and then a small one, or a small one and then the main one. But I eat the same stuff. So and that's one of the things here. I was just laughing at James's comment, because I have to split the egg stuff up in 2 meals. Otherwise, I can't eat 12, 11, 12 eggs in one go. It's the eggs that I get are jumbo size. So in US terminology, they're jumbo size. So they are 70 grams, which is whatever it is, 2.5 ounces or whatever it is. And anyway, jumbo eggs, and yesterday, uh, yesterday I did eat 12 eggs, but actually the second meal, which was just which was 4 eggs, I wasn't really hungry. I just ate them
Mhm.
for the sake of eating them. I could have well just not eaten them, but since I'm not really trying to lose even more weight, or there wasn't really a weight loss objective in this, so I kind of thought it's better to eat as many as possible, and use plenty of butter to get some fat and stuff. But it
So,
really does seem to be the weight loss is just more than when fasting. Yeah, oddly.
Mm.
so do you guys
I
eat
think.
whenever? Let's say, do you
Yeah.
guys eat?
So
Go ahead.
yeah, no. So do we whenever we're hungry? Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's based for me. It was like as soon as I was hungry, I would then eat as much eggs as I could. So that would be about eight eggs, and then so that would probably be about half 11, 12, 12ish. And then I'd eat the remaining eggs at about 4 o'clock, and then that's me done.
Yeah, that's the other thing with the eating window. So normally, if I eat 2 meals, I probably tend to eat around noon, and then the second one around maybe 5 or 6 o'clock. Here, what I did, nothing after 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Hmm.
Just if, not even thinking about it.
So how many eggs total were you guys kind of averaging per day?
12.
12.
Yeah, about 12, 11 and a half probably. So
Mm.
And what do you think's like providing the satiation compared to, like, maybe a steak or a fish? Like, is it different? Is it the flavor?
no, nothing to do with the flavor. It just I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
I think
Um,
it's the texture, and the only thing you can eat are eggs. So everything else is simply off limits. So it's just like, don't want it.
Hmm.
It's like we probably sound quite drab about this, but it's fantastic. Like I would really recommend people giving it a go because you do feel great doing it. It's just when it comes to mealtime, it's not that great. It's quite hard.
yeah, and
Hmm.
you kind and I said you kind of probably might go off food pretty much, and but one of the things I was thinking about it was also maybe if somebody wants to try it, you don't have to do a week. Nobody said
Mm,
the week is not set in stone. You could do 3 days, two
no.
days, whatever. And I think one of the things that I wanted to kind of suggest, or maybe try out myself at least, or and anyone who wants to follow, maybe just for a while have a an egg day a week. So just
Mm,
like some people do, there are some people who do a fasting day every week. That I think that's not for me. I don't want to do that. So I'm fine with fasting a little bit from time to time, but I think an egg week a day could probably be nice because the feeling good benefits are kind of immediate.
An egg
Yeah,
week a day keeps the doctors away.
right. It makes sense that it
Yeah.
would digest so well too. I mean, you think about an
Mm.
egg; it's like a soft thing. With how acidic our stomachs are, we're probably able to break that down pretty in depth. Do you think that the weight loss? I'm guessing is that from just being in deficit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You know that's probably what did we average that out at about 1,000 to 1,200 calories
Yeah.
in
12
11
dollar
eggs.
eggs with
Yeah.
the appropriate amount of butter is about 1,300 calories.
Now I'm curious
So
what Doctor E has it on his little satiety thing.
yeah, and of course it might be maybe some people don't feel satiated or as satiated. It's just I think for me, compared to various meats and various meat fat combinations, the eggs is just it trumps everything. And
Mm.
I think maybe it's like James said, when you know the only thing you can eat is an egg or eggs. It maybe it's like if you're used to drinking sweet drinks. Even if you use aspartame sweetened drinks, so no calorie sweetened drinks. If you say, okay, now I'm going to do a week of only drinking water, you're probably you're probably going to drink less when you only drink water than if you drink the sweetened drinks. And I think Amber Hearn was talking about this when we talked to her last time as well, and we just didn't dive into it much. But I think it's a similar kind of thing. So it just yeah, it gets simple and boring, but it's very effective. And I suppose I don't know with the weight loss, which to me seems to be obviously, I didn't do an MRI or a DEXA scan, but my feeling is that it's body fat, which has
Mm.
been lost. I have zero, no less power in the gym, no effect at all. So I'm guessing that maybe if you fast for 5 days or 7 days, maybe there is some kind of a um, starvation reaction in your brain, which isn't there when you keep eating something like eggs, and you feel satiated. So your body, your brain gets a signal that you've actually received what you need, and especially since it's almost only protein and fat.
Right.
So an egg, with the size of eggs, it's about 100 grams of 100 grams of protein, and it's about 100 grams of fat when you if you use
Mm.
20 grams of butter to do your scrambled eggs or fried eggs or whatever. Um, so I think I would say rather immediate ketosis and maintained ketosis. At least was my feeling. I was just feeling phenomenally wonderful today before I had my meal. Deep keto, the euphoria was tangible. So
Nice.
Is it? Yeah. It's worth, and then that's like what Klaus was saying a little while ago. Is you don't have to do 7 days. Like we set out to do 7 days. I'm done today on day 5. I don't fancy doing it anymore. Um,
yeah,
but
same. I mean,
it's
we know what
yeah.
it's about. So yeah. So our egg week turned out to be 5 days. So what?
Mm.
And
It's an egg working week, a working week, egg week.
exactly,
Yeah.
Huh.
Um,
exactly.
what was the other thing? So yeah, if we say like if you wanted to give it a go, and I'm pretty confident in saying even if you'd done 3 days, you would still feel the benefits massively.
For sure.
You get the idea, you get the gist of it. Because in day 3, I was definitely feeling fantastic. Even
For
day
sure.
2.
And I think if you I suppose many of our friends who might be listening watching this are carnivores or low carbers or ketos anyway, and so if you're in that mode, so you're kind of fat adapted for a good while and stuff, I think you don't even need 3 days to feel it. I think it's pretty quick. Probably on day two, you're gonna definitely already feel different in a good way.
Yeah, I found Dr. E. Uh, if you guys don't know what Dr. E is, he's made some app that kind of has like a satiety rating for different types of foods.
Yeah,
And I think,
Hava.
yeah, and I think he does it out of a scale of 100. And he actually had a
Mhm.
post earlier this month, so pretty recently, just
Yes.
saying that egg whites are extremely high in satiety per calorie, and he gave him a score of 89, and I imagine that's out of 100.
Sure. Yeah. It's out of 100. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. I'm familiar with his app, and I'm familiar with Dr. E. Dr. E doesn't live. He lives not so far away from me
oh no shit,
in Sweden. Yeah, he lives in Sweden, obviously, because he's a Swede. But yeah, my neck of the woods, so to speak.
gotcha.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and he has just for about Dr. E. I highly recommend for those who are not carnivores but ketogenic or low carbers. He has a website called dietdoctor.com with loads of recipes and other free advice. There's a payment one as well, but there's lots of extremely useful free advice and free recipes. Highly recommend. Oh, and I highly recommend it, even though he has become a controversial person in the community because of this satiety per calorie. SPC is what he calls it.
Well, the only thing that I
So
didn't really understand about his model that kind of threw me off was I think he had suet or like tallow was pretty low on the satiety scoring. I thought.
yeah, I'm not sure how they. I don't know how they came up with the satiety scores, but I think they obviously they have some kind of system for it, and I think they do update it as well and try to fine tune it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think there are quite a lot of people. It seems from the discussion on X, it seems that there are quite a lot of people who think that this satiety per calorie stuff is Riverside has
Crashed.
crashed. All right,
Hear me?
hold on.
Did it?
Hear me?
I can hear you. Might be your
Yeah,
Wi-Fi.
I can hear you, but you're kind of breaking up. I don't know. Have we crashed too? Let me just check.
Looks like we're still
Uh,
live.
I haven't even checked here. Let's see where we are. No, it looks like we've not crashed. At least it's broadcasting on my X here.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, there goes James.
Maybe he'll be back. Yeah, but anyway, there seems to be a lot of controversy around the SPC, and I don't know. I think it's potentially useful for people who don't want to do, who are not into carnivore, keto, whatever. If they just want to try and eat normal foods, maybe it's useful for those. I don't know.
Hmm.
Anyway, James, can you hear us?
I can hear you, and I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes. Did you have an egg while you were gone?
Can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
good. Okay. Yeah, I had about 6 eggs.
Wow.
Yeah. So, did you see what Paul Saladino was saying about Brian Johnson? There was a little bit of beef going on between the two of them.
Yeah. It was. I had a good laugh anyway.
The two clout chasers are beefing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There they are. So, Klaus, because mine's been a bit strange, did you want to bring up Paul Saladino's first tweet? It's not too far down on his page at all,
Hold on.
so we can show everyone.
Let me just.
I just think Paul Saladino kind of cracks me up because it's like we all know that like in a conventional paleo diet, if you follow a healthy way of eating, like of course it's you're probably gonna see some sort of positive results, but he just puts it out there like it's some cutting edge concept.
Mm.
Let me see. I'm just going to try and find the. Here we go.
Because there's a lot of stuff I personally agree with what Paul Saladino has mentioned regarding some of the studies that Brian Johnson put out there. I feel like Brian Johnson goes by the conventional medical standards when it comes to nutrition, which is quite strange. I find it odd because he can think outside the box when it comes to new healthcare techniques, such as infrared lights or micro needling on his face or something like that to try and make himself look younger. But when it comes to thinking outside the box, when it comes to certain studies, and who actually performed those studies, who paid for the study, are there any other studies which are more neutral? It doesn't look like he's thinking outside the box. But the other thought was, because he was sort of saying he was pro seed oils, but the majority of fat consumed in his diet is olive oil, which isn't a seed. It's quite odd. So that's part 2. If you scroll down a bit, there is part 1.
Oh, he really wrote
And
something.
then, but the first one, Brian Johnson replied. So if you just go on his profile,
Just let me just.
Dear Brian Johnson.
Dear Brian Johnson. Let's go down.
Dear Stan, I wrote you, but you still ain't
Hang on.
calling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go down a little bit more.
So this one.
Yeah. And he did reply to that. So
Yeah, you just
here you go.
reply, post your biomarkers, Paul.
Yeah, and that's not really a conversation, and it doesn't fill me with confidence, because I like what Brian Johnson's doing personally, but instead of just saying post your biomarkers, and this is not really anything tangible, these aren't his actual results, he's put them into a chart, but we don't know because we haven't seen the actual readouts from the machines, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
And this post your biomarkers thing has been coming up quite recently with some of the things I've been putting on X. So one of my posts that done quite well, there was a gentleman which said you're going to have cardiovascular disease, etc. And he said post your biomarkers. And I posted a picture of me when I was 22 stone, 21 stone, and me now at 14 something stone. And he said that proves nothing. So I think people are being influenced. Yeah, people are being influenced by Brian Johnson's post your biomarkers quotes, and they have not really enough genuine understanding behind things to make an educated comment.
He looks a little
Yeah.
more tan in his Abby. Sorry, I'm just being a hater right now.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, what do we need to, in order to have conversations, in order to try and educate ourselves and support each other, do we need to post all our biomarkers, and do we need to fall into a schedule of blood tests which must be made public, etc.?
Exactly, and this is the issue: is if you're eating like a vegan diet, maybe you do need to keep an eye on your biomarkers quite religiously. Yeah, it's great to have your blood's done once a year just to make sure everything's in the right place, as far as we know. But what we can do is sort of break. If we scroll up so we can see Paul Saladino's first post. So he's basically saying, come onto the podcast and we can discuss it. So I think this is a missed opportunity, and I think this reveals a lot about what Brian Johnson's mind, what sort of space Brian Johnson's mind is in. Because if someone would have asked me like this, if they disagreed with me, I'd be like, that's fine. Like, I'll come on because I don't know everything. So I'll give you my train of thought, and then we can sort of come to some middle ground or understand each other's perspectives. Whereas Brian Johnson just said, post your biomarkers. And then if we go to part 2.
Like everybody just has that in their back pocket.
Hold on. Do I find part two here? I have to go back. Let me go back. It's easier. Where was it?
at the top of the page, I think.
Yeah, close to the top anyway. Here. There we go.
Yeah. So if yeah, so what do you guys think of this? Because he cites some good studies, which is positive, and this is what when I was reading through some of Brian Johnson's other posts. Yeah, Brian Johnson's actually gone quite, into some detail regarding his views on seed oils, etc. I'm sure everyone's seen them, and my thoughts were exactly this: that there was a few contradictions in there. So if you while you're reading this, Klaus, what are some of your thoughts, your personal thoughts, or goody, if you can read that from where you are?
Yeah, I mean, I think we put too much stake in studies. A lot of the times when I see a study and I go and read it, there's some sort of thing that's like, okay, that's not the most optimal thing. You know, whether they're using ingredients that are just cheap or there's just things that are like context that's missing. You know, some the salt guy, the guy that wrote the salt fix responded to one of my comments today and about caffeine and losing sodium, and it's like you have a whole study on sodium loss because of drinking coffee, but then it's like it doesn't say what
Mm,
the average consumption of sodium is of the subjects tested. You know, obviously this is going to be an important variable that's going to affect how much sodium you lose, and it's just I think it's not as I think the studies kind of we get kind of lost in the sauce, and like looking at his Twitter page, you know, it's like I'm just seeing the meals that he's posting, and I can tell you without a colon that this would make me run to the bathroom more than what I currently eat. I mean, I'm looking at a plate
mm,
of broccoli, cauliflower, hemp seeds, lentils. That would all totally make me go to the bathroom. And then I just think it's kind of funny, like ceremonial grade matcha. It's like, man, get over yourself. But yeah, I don't think it's as complicating as the studies make it seem. I think I you can just kind of look at what he's eating, and it's like I can just tell you without a colon that it wouldn't work for me.
Well,
mm.
he's not eating he doesn't seem to be eating a diet which is optimal for humans. That's my
Yeah,
impression.
and and when you think about digestion and how digestion works, you eat food, it goes to your stomach first, right? And your stomach turns it into chyme, and so chyme kind of turns that stuff into like a mashed potato like substance, which then it goes to your small intestine, and since it's kind of been broken down into the chyme, your small intestine can then absorb that, and all the most important nutrient absorption is going to happen in your small intestine. So like this concept of
Mm-hmm.
fermentation in the colon is it's overrated. We're not cows, and if you look into the rhetoric on plants and phytonutrients, we're not really good at turning that into chyme, and so that kind of passes through your body relatively intact. And you know, if you're eating a diet like his, which is a lot of plants, it doesn't even look like these are cooked. You know, a lot of raw plants. That's not going to go through. That's not going to digest very well. And you don't need to
Obviously.
read a bunch of very complex studies just to kind of support your reasoning. It's a very common sense thinking. And I think you should start with the common sense. And then, you know, if it passes those tests, then you get into your studies. But I don't think he's passing the
Yeah,
common
but
sense
Goody,
test.
I think you're touching on a key point, and I think the key point is that he like other vegans, he's chosen to be vegan for ideological reasons,
Mm,
and so rational thinking goes out the window, and so does at the very least part of his credibility. Um, and I'm not, I find what he's doing very, very interesting, and I think it's great that he shares his data and stuff, and I appreciate it.
yeah.
But I think there are the two conflicts of interest he has. One is his ideological attitude towards food, and the other one is that he seems to be building a business. So he's selling something, and that's not necessarily doesn't necessarily ruin your credibility. You can be selling something and be credible, of course. but at the very least, it means that we need to ask questions, and we can't just take everything at face value, because there is an agenda, there is a financial agenda, a business agenda somewhere in the mix.
Yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of
well, he's trying to sell the supplements as well, isn't he? So the whole blueprint stack, things like that, and
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah, and
I'm not criticizing him for trying
no, 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 not at
to make a
all.
business. That's
No,
not the point at all. But I think
no.
everybody understands my point.
Yeah, exactly. We can put that out or reframe that with any sort of walks of life, really. And the other thing was, do you because when you look at the stock of like Beyond Meat and companies like that, they're down like 90+% over the last sort of 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
yeah. I've lost a lot of money on them.
Yeah, I bet you have. So I don't know if this is some attempt at reviving some stocks. If you're given a load of shares in something, obviously he doesn't advocate fake meat, but if vegans or certain people which follow his thing aren't as strict as him, I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose. Who knows?
Speculation.
We can't speculate on his behalf.
Yeah.
But you could maybe speculate that if you think, if you're fine with the industrial processed materials, like most seed oils are, not all of them, not the cold pressed ones, but most of the ones available and most of the ones used are industrial, refined industrial products. So if you're fine with that, you might. It's not a big leap to say that, okay, maybe you'd be fine with some other synthetic materials as well, and provided that they officially, or in the testing that's done, contain whatever nutrients they're supposed to contain, and enough of whatever it is that you need.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't. He can do whatever he wants to do. I'm not trying to veer him away
Obviously.
from what he's doing. It's just, it's that term Trump says kind of feels like a little bit of a witch hunt to me. It's not really that fascinating to me. I think like we live in a world of marketing, and I just don't think I'm just not buying what he's selling. So I mean, that's where it's like I just don't really pay any attention to it. It's not my thing. But yeah.
And guys, I think we've all had various experiences, but and you've had the most dramatic one, Goody, with your gut. But I had 40 years of the runs, which ended when I stopped eating plants.
Mm-hmm.
How come that happens when if plants are superior? I mean, it's bullshit.
Exactly.
Who the hell are we kidding?
Yeah.
And I have personally, I have no inclination to try and even prove anything to Brian Johnson or anyone else. I don't really care. I'm the proof. My own health improvement is the proof, and that's good enough for many people as an example of something that you can do even if you are in your 50s. Like I'm just in my 50s still. So you can do something even at a later stage and get healthier and stuff like that. And I think that's you don't even need to do a structured N=1 type of research. Some of what we do could be structured a little bit better, maybe. And maybe you talked about James. You were talking about having some blood tests before and after. By the way, I think.
I was thinking it's probably a good idea to give it a go next time. Yeah, and then we can show people what has it done to our body for a week.
Exactly, because then kind of even though it's not that's also not a scientific anything, but at least there is some data and it could be interesting to see and maybe we don't need to do a full stack of the. I think I had maybe over 40 markers tested last time I did mine, but maybe we can just do.
That's in the summer.
In summer, maybe we can keep it at some kind of manageable level of the more normal ones. But I think something like obviously get the lipid panel done because it's so interesting for everybody, and then fasting insulin before and after, which is often not measured, but a good indicator, and then maybe CRP, so inflammation
Mhm.
markers. Um, just the insulin test a little bit expensive, but anyway, maybe we'll survive.
Mm. Yeah, but in all, good week was good week. Egg week was as good as expected, really.
Yes,
It makes you want to do it slightly more because you just get so many, if what feels like so many benefits so quickly. So
yes.
maybe when it comes to fasting in the future, maybe we just have some eggs.
Yeah, and by the way, I think that's the reason why some people get a little bit hooked on fasting as well, because they feel so good
Yeah.
when they do it, and then they want to do it more or more frequently. My problem with fasting is I also feel great when I fast, but my problem is I get my sleep gets disturbed very quickly, and I used to think it would, if I do over 48 hours it gets disturbed, but it seems to me these days, even when I go over 24 hours, I already have some slight issues falling asleep. I just get so energized
Mm.
from doing it, and I really appreciate my good sleep. So
How did you get on with your sleep with the eggs?
fine.
Yeah, exactly. I slept like a baby.
Yeah.
I've got another load of those on at New Moods as well, so I've been having those.
Yeah, and I haven't had those, and I haven't had any ashwagandha or any other
Mm.
sleep enhancers. I just have my normal, I have some magnesium and some other a
Mm.
few other things, but creatine and taurine and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, not so
Um,
much.
just a question to you guys: have you got anything in your bookmarks from this week that we can just share with anyone that you've found interesting?
I don't know.
If you guys can
Let's have a look.
share your screen, I don't want to dare try and share mine because my computer's been very slow.
No, I really don't. I honestly don't have anything just because I've been so busy with work. I've just been doing
Yeah,
my diet and posting when I
yeah.
can. But
So while Klaus is having a look through his, I'm just wondering if you wanted to share with everyone how your week's gone, Goody, because obviously you've got your new job, you're learning some new things.
yeah, so I started a new job last Monday, a whole new career actually. I used to work in like corporate sales development, so I was like setting meetings for other people to close, and I hated my life for like the last couple of years in terms of my career, and so got into a new career. I'm working in water treatment operations. So basically, there's you have wastewater treatment and there's water treatment. So the side that I work with is we're taking well water, we're putting it through processes and making it so the city that I work within is able to drink that water. And so I actually work
Hmm.
with I work for the Shakopee Mdewakanton Sioux community. So I actually work for a reservation, and they do pretty well for themselves. There's so in Minnesota there's a casino. It's called the Mystic Lake Casino, and they make a shit ton of money. So it's actually one of the wealthiest reservations in America, and it's pretty fucking fascinating what
Hmm.
we're doing for them. So like the city over, for example, they get filtered water. So we put it through filtration system. It still gets, fluoride and all that fun stuff. But with this community, we're putting it through a process called reverse osmosis. And we're literally removing the fluoride.
RO, yep.
We're balancing the pH levels and everything. So like they're drinking some of the best water that you can drink. I get to drink that water too, which is pretty cool.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
it's a little bit more on my feet. I want to be more active. I didn't like sitting at a cubicle all day, so that was a big thing. And then also it's good. It's really good work for the community. I mean, I'm interested in environmentalism, and water is a pretty valuable
Mm.
resource. So, I feel
Yes.
good about the work that I'm doing. Uh
Yeah,
having
well, just as an outsider's perspective, it sounds like you've got a good career because hearing what RF Kennedy has been saying about water and trying to get everything clean, remove the fluoride, you're in a company and a business which is already doing that. So
Mhm.
that's obviously looking quite fruitful for the future, maybe.
Yeah, and like, it's just interesting stuff. Like my boss is pretty smart. He he actually was a computer science major, but then he was the same thing. He didn't like working at a cubicle, and he switched
Mm.
careers and stuff. But like he was telling me about this thing called the Oglala Aquifer. Basically, it's like this aquifer in the northern plains of the United States, and basically a lot of us are reliant on that. Like a lot of agriculture uses the aquifer and stuff. And he was basically saying like, a lot of agriculture is making this aquifer deplete at really alarming paces. And I was like, well, how long do you think until it could be completely drained? And he was like, it could be like 30 years until it's gone. And I just thought that was really interesting. And I was looking into that, and like, water intensive crops, like if you're growing corn, if you're growing soybeans,
Hmm.
like that really is draining things like the aquifer. I don't know if you saw Ed. He's a pretty big RFK guy, pretty big with environmental stuff and regenerative agriculture. And he was saying, if anything, it's the low carb people and the carnivores that could help, really restore things like aquifers and soil health. So I thought that was pretty fascinating. But
Mm.
yeah, aside from that, so what is it, January 17th today? January 18th. And so 18 days in a strict carnivore, zero carb, haven't had a carb this month. But I also started some other things. So like, I quit smoking weed on January 1st. I quit caffeine January 1st. So, I'm making a big dietary shift, but also it's like adjusting to being caffeine free and all this.
Mm.
And I'm having more dreams. But I'm pushing myself a lot right now, and it's been pretty executable. It's just more mental than anything. So like the
Mm.
biggest challenge thing that I'm doing right now is I wake up and I don't drink water. Well, I drank water earlier today, but like during the work week, I don't drink water until noon. And so I'm moving, I'm doing stuff, and like I don't really get like thirsty, but it's kind of like it would be nice to have like a sip of water type thing. But yeah, I'm trying to do the best execution I can do right now, and I'd say probably 85 to 90% of my calories are is literally from pemmican. And back to
Hmm.
your guys' point about like, you
Yeah,
know, digestibility and nutrient absorption. I mean, for lunch I'll probably eat at least 1,000 calories worth of protein and fat. Like
sure.
a lot. If you know what pemmican looks like I eat a lot, and like barely any bowel movements at all. Like it's
Yeah,
all
of course.
getting digested, and it's super fascinating.
Is pemmican, is it 50/50 protein and fats by
Ye-
weight, or
It is. I put a little bit more in, so like if you have excessive amounts of tallow, which I use suet
Mhm.
tallow, then it kind of sits at the top. So it is a 1-to-1 ratio, but it probably leans a little heavier in the fats. And to that point, once you truly get fat adapted, like you can, I've done this before. I've taken suet tallow, like 1,000 calories of it, rendered it down, and I've done a shot of it, and
sure?
it gets
Yeah, I remember that.
entirely digested, entirely. It's
Mm.
the thing that caught, like, if anything, it's if I have a lot of protein, that might increase things a little bit. But I'll just say like not to be TMI, but like I can't I can't fart like that. So I have to like be on top of like gas as well, because I can't dictate. Like if I get like an urge to pass a fart, like I can't like just pass a fart. So I gotta go like sit on a toilet or something quick. You know what I mean? And so like that's like anything. That's like basically the all that's been happening is like a little bit of gas, but that's it. Fat
Mm.
gets
Hmm.
digested entirely. It's remarkable.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome update, mate. Well done. And I'm just really proud of what you've achieved this month. You're doing a good job. It's
You
fantastic.
you
Like
too,
you're
man. You
smashing
too.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, I saw you have lost a little bit of weight, and I'm actually down 6, 7 pounds myself, and like
Awesome.
I'm in pretty good shape to begin with. So I mean, to lose 6, 7 pounds in a little over 2 weeks for me is pretty impressive, I would say. So
Mm.
it just comes to show
Yeah.
like to these diets, and that's not to go on a rant. The last thing I'll say is like I'm doing this at a really high degree, and that's where I kind of get a little disappointed in people like Paul Saladino, where like when I look into his bout with the carnivore diet, he gave up pretty easily. I don't think he really went to the highest degrees, and then now he kind of speaks against carnivore dieting. Whereas like what I'm trying to do right now is like in the name of bro science, where it's like, yeah, I mean, there's tastier foods in the world, but that I think digest decently. But like, I really want to see like if this type of eating can be at performed at extremely high levels, not just in terms of sustainability, but in terms of like over performance. And I think that's got potential because like something like pre-workout, I could take pre-workout and I could go have a crazy workout. I'm not going to go do that. I've regressed a little bit, but you got to think like a lot of changing variables, no caffeine, dietary shift. Having said that though, every single day I've been making a little bit of improvements in the gym. So, the growth isn't like super steep, but it's definitely going up still. I haven't plateaued, and that gives me a lot of hope. So I'm rolling with this.
Yeah, awesome. Good. Well
I
done,
think I
mate.
had in my thing here. Let's see.
I'm actually going to pick up in about an hour. I got to leave. I found a local farmer because that was one of the things when I moved home to Minnesota because I got a car now because in Chicago you don't need a car. But I was like, okay, I'm home. I want to find like local farmers that I can support. So I found a farm directive on Facebook, got in touch with the local farmer an hour away. I'm going to go pick up 10 pounds of fat, 2 cow tongues, and hopefully I found like a good farm
Stock
product.
up a bit.
Yeah, and
Yeah, stock up a bit, mate. That's good.
it's fun to have like a little project like that. So, if you have a car, if you have access, like, make a little effort to try and find, a local farmer. And they're gonna befriend. They're gonna be a
Yeah,
lot friendlier
definitely.
than
And
me.
then, yeah, definitely. So then Klaus has found a couple of things in his bookmarks as well.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I was just
they're always. If you should, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was just looking at the bookmarks here. I have, I by book. I don't know. I don't really have a. I
This
don't have
is yeah.
much
This
book.
one's Mike's. I've got this. I've got the same one in my bookmarks, Klaus. So it'll probably be good to. He's put some good stuff out recently. We'll message Mike and see if he wants to jump on at some point, and we'll go through some of his recent findings.
Yeah, and I think for those if somebody who's listening to this and watching this who's not following Mike, the low carb RD. So follow Mike. A lot of he has a very good approach and a very scientific orientated approach to things that he puts out. Lots of super useful and very interesting information.
Yeah, Mike's a good guy. Really interesting stuff.
Yeah,
I like
highly recommend.
he's always posting the graphs. I'm a big visual data guy, so I think that
Yeah, for
helps.
sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Then there was something on statins here, and there are a couple of interesting posts from Don Lehman, who is he's the protein king. He's the king of protein research in human metabolism in the world, as far as I know, anyway. So it's always worth listening to what Don Lehman is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
X Fast is a good dude too.
That's a good one. Nina,
yeah,
can't pronounce that.
Teichholz.
Hmm.
I don't know how she pronounces it, but in German you would say Teichholz.
Yeah, so Mike's one is good for those who get told that you get raised cortisol levels on a ketogenic diet, because you've then got a physical graph you can show people to say, yeah, it goes up a little bit and then it comes back down to normal.
Yes, and I think my subjective experience that seems to be true for a few other markers as well. When you start a low carb ketogenic any form of low carb diet, I mean one of the things that happens to many people is that their cholesterol goes up by a lot in the beginning, and so did mine, but it's not at those same levels anymore.
Mm.
So it kind of normalizes after a while, but so it seems to be many things. And yeah,
Yeah,
And then with go ahead.
I'll
yeah,
just
no,
say
go ahead.
I want to do a cholesterol test really badly because I don't consume any marbled fat or anything right now. Just straight suet tallow. I'd be curious to see how that would come up on a cholesterol reading.
Yeah, go do it. It's just it's a simple blood test, and you get the results probably same day.
Do you pay out of pocket or is it covered by insurance?
I have
Probably
no
pay
idea
if it's
whether.
yeah. For me, it's to pay out of curiosity. But if it's a health condition, then it'll get it for free. Yeah.
I I I, th- I don't know what it's like in the US. I think up here we can probably get a paid for cholesterol test once a year. I'm guessing, but the last ones I did, I just paid out of pocket. You know, I
Yeah,
didn't see a doctor. I just went to the lab and had them done.
I might do that. I really have
But
been wanting to do that.
but the lipid panel is not an expensive. It's not an expensive blood test. So
Gotcha.
and you can Dave Feldman. Dave Feldman's business is they do um testing. So and I think they offer testing across the U.S. in most, if not all, states. I just forget what the company's name is, but that he's the low what's it called,
I know
uh,
Feldman.
the, the low mass hyper responder guy,
Lean mass hyperspender.
lean mass hyper responder guy. He has a blood test company.
So what exactly does that mean? I saw that in a Twitter bio. Lean mass hyper responder.
It's it, it's somebody who is lean, so low body fat percentage, and who gets total cholesterol over 300 when they go on a low carb diet. Basically, just somebody like me, I'm at least I'm very close to being a lean mass hyper responder, but. But even though I'm continuing to eat low carb or ketogenic carnivore, I'm no longer my total cholesterol is no longer that high. So that's what I meant by it seems to normalize over. At least for me, it did. So
Hmm.
it came down after
Interesting.
about a year.
Hmm.
So
Is
very highly
anyone
recommended.
is anyone got any questions as well? If anyone's listening, just comment. If you can comment by clicking on our profiles and then scrolling down to the actual live stream, because sometimes you can only view only, which is a strange feature. Um, if anyone's got any questions with the topics we're discussing today, then let us know. Um, when it, we're speaking to Amber O'Hearn again. When are we doing that? In a couple of weeks? This week? Next week?
It's
February?
no, it's January. Yeah, I think it was January 28th.
Okay,
If I
10 days.
remember. Yep.
We'll be So if there's anything you want to cover, but we'll be discussing some different topics and hopefully be going into some more detail as well with certain things. So
Yeah, she's been
um,
doing some interesting stuff on, satiation. I saw a couple of her posts. It looks like she was eating like what was that? Like some beef ribs or something. And Klaus, we talked a little bit about this too. You said you had what was it that you ate that you just hit an absolute food coma after eating that? It was like a very fatty cut of lamb or something.
Uh, Hold on, let me think. Say again. I was just trying
It
to
was
look at the.
you commented on one of my posts, and we were talking about how like if you have a ribeye and there's like a fat chunk of fat on there, and it's rendered down a little bit. You take a bite of it, it kind of pops in your mouth like a gusher. Like that
Yes.
is extremely satiating.
Yeah, for sure. No, I had some. I just recently had a super good deal on some picanhas. Picanhas.
That's what it
So,
was.
and they are for the European people. In some countries in Europe, it's called a culotte. Like in my home country, Denmark, it's called a culotte. But anyway, picanha, which has an enormous fat cap on it, and it's very delicious. The fat is just amazingly tasty on that. So I just had
Nice.
some. I just I have a last one in the fridge, so I'm looking forward to having some of that tomorrow. So.
Nice, man.
What did you break your egg week with, Klaus, or have you not done it yet?
No, I'm breaking it with that. So
Nice. So you got an extra 24 hours on me, probably.
yeah, and
That's
then
what.
I'm gonna have some eggs too. So I'm not. I'm gonna be hardcore. Keep the eggs.
Oh, the flavour, you will have your mind blown. I had a couple of lamb leg steaks. That was fucking delicious.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I
how?
can imagine.
Mm.
What's your guys' game plan? Are you gonna do another challenge this upcoming week, or because it's carnivore month, so I imagine you're doing carnivore, or I don't
Mm.
know if you're doing a variation, but how are you guys gonna kind of navigate your diet moving forward?
Well,
For me,
there isn't much navigating to do, is there? That's the problem.
no.
It's a bit
I
boring.
think no. I'm just going to enjoy the carnivore diet again for the rest of
Yeah.
the month
Oh
and
yeah.
just carry it through. Really, we did do fish week last year, and it was absolutely rank. It was horrendous. Um,
Yeah. That's. I'd rather do two egg weeks in a row than a fish
yeah,
week.
definitely.
You
Yeah,
should do
Although I love
like
pemmican
fish,
week.
I love fish,
yeah,
but only fish, not very nice. Yeah.
no, only fish.
Yeah. Then you're actually hungry, Goody. If it's only fish, then you will feel hungry for some odd reason. At least I did.
Yeah, I really genuinely think that fucked my system up a bit as well. Um, because I felt so bad, like for at least a month after. I
Hmm.
just couldn't get back on, and yeah, no idea what it was. It was probably the fact that I was eating a lot of tinned mackerel
Yeah.
Ooh.
rather than like
It could
fresh
be.
seafood. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if we had a if we were would only eat chicken for a week. I think we'd feel
Similar, probably.
some yeah. I don't think that would be very nice.
I want to
No.
do a fish week, honestly. Like I'm pretty intrigued
Oh,
by it. Dude, I eat 90% of pemmican, man, and I don't know if you've ever had
mm.
pemmican. It's not the most intriguing thing. It's pretty bland. Uh, but
Yeah,
like, yeah,
especially with if you can't if you don't put any salt in it either. So
no salt.
Yeah.
And then, so I
yeah,
eat that super bland. And then for dinner, I don't know if you've seen my sirloin posts. Like, I'm a weirdo, you guys. Like, I'm literally boiling a lean sirloin for about 20 to 30 seconds in boiling water. It's basically raw on the inside, it's cold on the inside, and eating it like that.
yes,
No salt. But then I was actually thinking today, I was like, this would probably be pretty good if you put a little salt on it. So
Mm.
yeah, for sure. Why do you boil it? Because it's
just,
easy, or
um, well, if it's like if I got like a flank and it's like even because the steaks I've been getting are more round and like just so I can like cook the outer layers evenly, I'll just boil it because then it cooks all of it at the same time. And like I'm just like taking a precautionary measure of like the the thing about red meat, as you guys know, is like it's pretty impenetrable for bacteria, so the insides are fine, but it's the outsides that can tend to have more
Hmm.
of the bacteria build up and stuff. So I'll just
Ah, so it's
boil
a
it.
bit of a sterilization
That's it.
technique.
That's it. Yeah, it's
Ah,
just sterilizing. I'm not
is it
trying to
autoclaved
cook it.
maybe?
mm.
Yeah.
I think well, to be fair, after what you said, Goody, I think Pemmican Week would be a good idea at some point. But I need to, you know what I'm like when it comes to the basic things. People seem to be really good at it, and I'm really shit at it. So I'll
I've
have
never made
to.
pemmican, James.
No, exactly.
I
Well, no,
made
I haven't.
jerky.
So
I'm up for a beef jerky week for sure.
yeah, and we'll have
It's
to get like the weights all right and sort of give us a
well, I think
strict sort
Goody's
of.
come
This is how
out.
you make it.
Wouldn't I thought you said today that you would come up with some instructions.
Yeah, I started making a video today actually. So I'm up my video right now is 9 minutes long. I'm showing three different like red meats. It's all beef, but like blend and
Yes.
broil, stew meat,
Mhm.
some sandwich meat, three different ways you can utilize it. And I'm just making a how-to video on how to make pemmican, and it should be out by tomorrow afternoon.
Can you use ground beef for pemmican?
You can, but I don't recommend it because I've literally gone to the store and I've bought venison ground beef where it's supposedly super lean, and I just think the texture isn't as good as if you just use sirloin. Even if there's 5% fat in the ground beef, I think that
Yeah.
it just doesn't dehydrate as well. I would recommend using sirloin instead. I say if you're using ground beef, that's the lazy way. Just take the time and make it.
Yeah, I think probably if you get store bought ground beef, there's probably stuff in it which is not good for
Yeah,
pemmican making.
There's more fat
yeah,
than I think they play on, and then the other thing is like
And there's other stuff in it as well, I think.
and it's typically chuck, so chuck is going to be fattier meat to begin with. So like I try to go for the leanest sirloins that I can find, and
Yeah.
it works pretty well. And the other
Yeah.
thing I'll
So
say is like I saw a post the other day, like JT Carnivore made a how-to video on making pemmican, and the if you're using like regular tallow, you want to use suet tallow, because if you just use regular tallow, you're gonna have like the squishy pemmican, and like the pemmican I make is like completely solid at room temperature. I mean, you can knock on it; it sounds like
yeah,
wood.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but just for like optimal. There's less efficient ways if you're trying to just be speedy or whatever. But yeah, so
yeah. Great idea. Yeah, um, yeah, I'll be up for giving that a go. But I agree with because there's a very small supermarket local to me, and you can see that they make real ground beef. I put a picture up probably last March about the ground beef, and you compare it to something that you buy in one of the big chain supermarkets, and it's completely different. Like, actually looks nice. Whereas this stuff, I don't know what it's like in Europe and America, but some of this ground beef does not look like ground beef. It's like it's been passed through about 100 mixers or like mincers.
I found that
yeah.
the I visited the States many times and spent a lot of time there. I I think in the US, if you buy ground beef, you really have to look out for where you get your ground beef, because it's just very different from what we get here, and it's kind of strange and pasty. I mean, it's just the structure is just very different.
Mush.
I think unless you get the organic stuff with a traceable organic ground beef. Looks on the photos looks similar to what we have here. So
Or if you have your own meat grinder, you can go buy your own sirloin,
exactly,
and
yeah.
like exactly what you say too. Like my uncle, he shot an elk and he made ground beef with the elk, and like I could just tell like this is leaner, this is better, it's more
Sure.
flavorful, it smells better.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, and of
I
course,
yeah.
elk is much leaner, in general, much leaner, of course, than a cow.
Yeah, but a lot,
Any cow.
it is a good staple. I mean, if you are looking to eat a lot of food on carnivore dieting, ground beef is probably the way to go. It's hard to eat
Oh
a lot
yeah,
of steak,
oh yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah.
I think obviously ground beef tends to be much more affordable than whatever cuts of meat you like.
Yeah, it's
and and
bad
and I,
here,
and I
man.
think and I think for but if you're budget constrained, definitely go for ground beef. But still, you don't have to, if you can avoid it, don't maybe find out where you can get some high quality ground beef, rather than
hmm
getting something which is of
Mhm.
unknown origin and pasty.
Well, here I'll say
Uh,
here, there's definitely there's a war on meat. I don't want to sound like all like off my rocker, but there is, because I've gone to Target, I've gone to Aldi's, and I've gone to Walmart, and guess what? Guess what's all expensive at all those places? Meat,
mm,
ground beef is still like $7.50 to $8 a pound for conventional ground beef. And like you go to Walmart, like that's where you got all the like immigrants, like you got like your Somali people and your Asian people, and like typically like people that like lower income people are going to shop at places like Walmart, and the meat prices are not any cheaper there, and it's just kind of alarming to see that. and I don't really know what we. I guess the answer is go find a local farmer because
Mm.
like
Yes.
you go maybe you pay $7-8 a pound for tongue at Walmart, whereas like I'm paying $3 a pound for a beef tongue
Mm.
someone an hour away. So it's just we really need to find ways to support local farmers and keep this shit going. And like I use
Mm.
Walmart and stuff, but like we they're gonna be the reason that the meat industry gets
What's this?
fucked.
What's the war on eggs which is going on in the U.S. at the moment? I mean,
I
I'm
couldn't
seeing posts with some astronomical prices for eggs. What's
It's
astronomical.
yeah. So what I've heard is they're using the bird flu stuff. So if you have to cull hundreds of thousands of chickens, then it's just simply
yeah,
supply and demand, really.
yeah.
And there's all sorts of
That's
rules
from what I can
where
see.
they got all sorts of rules where like locals can't grow eggs and sell them, so it's like we're all dependent on these big corporations, these factory farming and
Mm.
stuff to bring up eggs and shit. And yeah, it's astronomical. Another thing where it's like what's the
I
point?
genuinely goody. I think this is where the mass deletion of pointless rules comes in 2 days' time.
Let's hope. Let's hope so.
Yeah, like
You
it's
know,
just what a fucking pointless rule. You
Yeah,
can't buy eggs. Yeah,
I don't think
where
he's
the
gonna
fuck
do
has
it
that
though.
come from?
I don't think he's gonna do anything though. I really don't. Like in terms of that. If he does, that would be great. But
yeah.
I
I have
I
no
just
doubts.
think,
Yeah.
well, this is where you guys know my perspective. But if Musk says he's going to do something, he's probably going to do it,
Well,
regardless.
yeah. Well, he was not elected president, so
well, what have they said about meat prices? I haven't heard him say anything
We'd,
about.
we would know straight away if something is off, though. Do you think he'd be quiet about it? No.
mm, mm. I think my um, my sense check on all of these guys is that while they might not be insiders who are members of the same faction of insiders as the guys going out, there is no way these guys are not insiders in some way and to some extent. There's no way
Like a lot of people think Trump
they'll
is.
let Trump become president and let Elon Musk come in and Ramaswamy and whatever and all the other people. There's no way these people can go into these positions or have any influence or be allowed to amass hundreds of billions in fortunes if they are not somehow captured by something.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's some connections between Trump and what's his vice president's name, JD, whatever his name is, like
JD Vance.
JD Vance with Palantir. And you know what? When I pay attention to the money, Democrats and Republicans, they both got their pockets stuffed. It's just, one's pandering to military, one's pandering to pharmaceutical. There are it's just different industries at the end of the day. And at the like, I'm not gonna go speak out against Trump or anyone in
No, no, that's not
particular.
the point.
No, no, no. I'm
Mm.
just saying like I'm skeptical of the entire cable of things,
Yeah.
and like I
That's
just
That is
don't.
what. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what Klaus is saying. And
yeah,
I agree because just look at how much Tesla stock BlackRock owns and Vanguard owns. Like they own
yeah.
yes,
a
yeah,
very big portion. And if you look back to the ratification of the compensation plan, they voted in favour of the ratification of the plan as well. So
yes.
there's some sort of mutual back scratching going on. There always will be, but time
For
will
sure,
tell.
for sure.
So what we need right
But
now
Mm.
is, I'll just say what we need right now. I think is like, okay, so like obviously Democrats don't believe in Republicans. Republicans don't believe in Democrats. I think we're getting to a point where us as people, as Democrats and Republicans, we need to come together and we say, this system's fucking us all. Let's just see who's going to actually help us out now.
Mm.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
I think
exactly.
there's a good. I mean, this could be a good opportunity for the establishment and whoever represents the establishment. In this case, it will be Trump and his administration. It's a good opportunity to dial it back a little bit with all the nonsense.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
I'm hoping that they will do it, and I'm hoping that all the actions that are going to take place, that they're going to have some positive effects outside of the
Look
US
at
as
look
well.
what what's the what restaurant out west in the U.S. They just said they're gonna only use tallow moving forward. I mean, that's just rhetoric
S-
persuading.
s-
You know,
s- Steak and Shake or something like
steak,
that, if I
yeah,
remember correctly.
steak and shakes
Yeah.
doing that. I mean, that's huge. It's nothing was passed, but the rhetoric that RFK puts out there on seed oils and stuff has obviously influenced them to do that.
Hmm.
Or
Yeah,
was it In and Out
of
Burger?
course
It was
not.
In and Out Burger, right?
No, it's steak and
Steak and
shake.
Shake. Okay.
Shake. Mm.
Yeah, so that I mean, that's incredible to hear. So I'm optimist, hopefully optimistic, but
Mm.
it's
I
uh,
did hear. I did hear something that you might like as well. Is I've heard a few people which are somewhat close to Elon saying that income tax should be deleted. So if you can manage the country so much that you're reducing the deficit, then why would you need income tax on workers basically? So could you imagine not having to pay tax? That'd be fucking fantastic. And it's like Dubai do it already. So if you can
yeah,
turn your country into a economic powerhouse, you would not need to pay tax.
they're
Yeah,
not
the,
gonna.
Especially if your government is this big.
yeah,
He's
there,
not
there
gonna
are
do that
many
though.
there are many
We'll see.
compelling and positive and
Yeah.
attractive things have been said. I think the proof is in the pudding, isn't it?
And
So
Hmm.
every time they take away taxes, they just allocate them somewhere else. The only thing I've heard Trump say is he wants to reduce the corporate income tax, and he says he's going to do it through tariffs are going to make up for it. But okay, where does the rest? If where do you allocate that tax elsewhere? Because like if you look at the 50s, there was a lot higher taxes on upper class, like really rich people, whereas like now it's just all been allocated on working class people. Like there's people making $50,000, which is like paycheck to paycheck, and they lose almost 50% of their revenue
Mm.
to taxes. Like uh, you're right, I agree with it, but like someone's still going to end up paying at the end of the day, and like I don't want it
let's
to just
see.
be rich people getting it.
let's
Yeah.
see what let's see what happens. I think there's a lot of hope that good things are going to happen,
Yeah,
and they're going to have to demonstrate that they're going to do what they say. And
Mm.
just James, just to your question or your point to Elon, I, I don't. My feeling is that he's a genuine person in the sense that he's not a bullshitter of the normal sort. That's my feeling.
Mm.
And I think a lot of the stuff that he, or maybe even most of the stuff that he says publicly, I can relate to it very well. I can relate to it on many levels. I can relate to it as a former CEO. I can relate to a lot of what he says and seems to think. But yeah, we're going to have to. It'll be interesting to see, and yeah,
Elon
let's see
kind of
what
hurt him.
happens.
Yeah.
He kind of hurt himself a little bit with his immigration concepts, I think, because it really seems like he's trying to replace American workers.
Yeah, that wasn't very well played.
I didn't pay
Yeah.
attention to it. I just saw that there was some incident where a few Republicans disagreed with each other or something like that.
Yeah,
It's a question of a specific type of work visa, which has been claimed to be used for getting the best and the brightest and stuff. And but the visa that we're talking about, I mean, there is. Uh, it is possible to allow these people to get into the country and to work and give them green cards and a passport. There's a path for that without this specific type of visa, which was in discussion. And it seems, based on what I've read, it seems that this H-1B visa, or whatever it was
yeah,
called,
yeah,
that it's not used to get the best and the brightest, but it is used to get people who will take a much lower salary uh, than local people, and they are not necessarily better qualified. They might actually be less qualified.
yeah.
So it's a way of importing. It's a way of importing cheap labor to an extent, at least.
That's definitely
Seems
one perspective for sure.
that's the perspective I got. I'm not a H-1B lawyer. I'm not trying to get into the US. I haven't looked into these
Tesla
things at
boomer
all.
mama should be the woman to talk
Yeah,
to.
she'd be the one to talk
Yeah.
to. But I think
Um,
whatever it is, I, it, Elon kind of in terms of public opinion, I think he got himself on the wrong side of that in terms of rhetoric.
Yeah.
but I think that sort of makes him. That's what he loves, isn't it? He loves it when he gets people's backs up sometimes. But maybe it was the wrong sort of people. Maybe he didn't want to piss those people off.
Yeah. I don't even
Who
know what to
knows?
believe anymore, man. It's
No,
so fucking
I
weird.
think I think one thing that would be good, Klaus, you've probably already seen it. Goody, you might have already seen it as well. But the Javier Milei podcast with Lex Friedman, you can switch the language to English if you go on YouTube
Okay.
and then you
Yeah.
click audio track, and then you can go through them, and then it's AI translated into English, so in their voices but into English.
Okay. Interesting.
And that basically, because he's done such amazing things with Argentina in such a short period of time, and you know that those guys are very close with him and they respect him massively. So when
Yeah,
it
sounds
comes to
interesting. I'm gonna have a
turning
look.
an economy upside down, there's some good ideas there. And he is such a different person to the crazy bloke with the chainsaw you expect to see. But I'll just leave that there. But if you guys are happy to wrap, then we can. If you're getting tired, but if not, you can carry on.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. But I think I haven't. I'm definitely going to have a listen to that. I haven't listened. I've listened almost zero to Lex Friedman. I don't know.
Me
He
too.
just to me he's an extremely annoying type of guy. I don't know why, but it's probably just something personal.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I
he's
know what you
fantastic,
mean.
man. But
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've only listened to probably 5 of his podcasts in total. But some of the guests he gets on are fantastic. And I did sit and listen to
yes,
the Ukraine bloke, can't remember his name, which is quite embarrassing.
the president.
Yeah,
Zelensky.
Zelensky, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Zelensky. And that was interesting because obviously you hear certain rhetorics going around on X, but then you hear it from his mouth and it is about 2 hours long. And you'd expect to see certain cracks. And my gut feeling was he does care about his country. I'll probably get crucified for this, but just
Sure.
listen to what he says and make your own opinions. That's the whole point of everything.
Precisely. Yeah,
The US
Yeah.
precisely.
is really good of taking advantage of people. So
Yes. Well, the UK is as well because we've signed a 100-year deal with the Ukraine to give them 100 billion over the next 100 years or something like that.
can y'all just
10
print
years
some
over
money
the
out and
next
give it
10
to
years.
them?
Yeah,
It
exactly.
does. It does sound.
Give them some bubble
Yeah,
bucks.
the UK situation seems, looking at it from the outside, just based on what you see on social media, the UK looks completely
Well, the thing
completely
I
lost its steam.
The UK now looks exactly the same as America did in the first 2 years with the Biden administration for me.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of massive correlations where they're anti Elon massively from the start. So you get
crazy.
they're saying that they're going to try and call Elon into court and answer for his words said, etc. And you contrast that to the Biden administration when they had the EV summit and they said GM are leading the way, and they didn't mention Tesla at all.
It's absurd.
And then a few months later, they mentioned his name. Whereas it was earlier this week, Keir Starmer said, "We want to be the leading country in AI." And it's like, fuck me. Like, just use your brains a minute because
Idiotic statement.
it's idiotic because you're pushing Elon Musk away, who
Well, it's
owns
an idiotic.
XAI.
It is idiotic and it's an incredible statement. Actually, it
It
doesn't
all
make
is.
any sense. How the hell? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And so you're pushing this person away who owns it will be the biggest AI. This is a prediction, the biggest AI company It will be this year. Full stop.
Yeah.
If Chat GPT, so OpenAI and Google couldn't string together 35,000 H100 GPUs for their AI servers, and then in like a month, XAI string together 100,000 because they all thought it was impossible in a month, and it's fucking up and running, and we can use that now. It's absurd.
That's a good.
So there is going to be the second place is a far way away. Will be by the end of the year. So you're pushing this man away who is going to pioneer AI for the foreseeable future, and then he did say, even if that means working with Elon Musk, it was something along those lines, but that's what he said. And it's like, you're not really rolling the red carpet out. Why would you want to?
Yeah, it's
That's enough of my little rant. Sorry, everyone. Let's get back to meat.
The thing that I really respect about you guys over in the UK and Europe, though, is like, because I'm a big guy, I'm like a big fan of people's movements, and like we have our people's movements over here for certain things, but like it's good to see like your general public kind of unifying behind this whole farming crisis going on, and like the day that we get farmers and people uniting in America for that type of stuff will be interesting to see. But it's pretty inspiring to see y'all pulling up in like Germany with tractors in Parliament and shit. It's just it's really cool to see.
Yeah, it's interesting. I hope it will have a positive effects. I think my feeling right now is that
it's 4 years of shit, is what it is.
Agenda 2030 is just accelerating, even though the only people who want it is a very small minority, probably many of them in politics, who feel that they are not going to have any negative consequences out of it, and they don't give a shit about the population regardless of what they say. So the politicians and certain other people who are involved in that, and they have the power, and they are pressing the pedal to the metal on this one, and that's a little bit concerning, to be honest. And I don't really know where that's going to end, but it's not going to end well because nobody wants it, and most people don't believe it, and the few people who believe it, a lot of those are going to be the naive older people. They're going to be dead by 2030.
Yeah.
And
the thing is the majority of people which vote for a Labour Party or a left-leaning party, they advertise themselves as very kind people, and they generally have no idea about what Agenda 2030 is. So they have no idea what they're actually voting for. So, and then when you start saying about all of this public information, which they have publicly stated many times, people think that you're a conspiracy theorist.
Well, I don't necessarily think that they think it, but they are trying to shame you. So it's the classical tactics which are used in many homes as well by some people: shaming, blaming, gaslighting. It's it's a spectrum of manipulative tools which are used in many relationships outside of politics as well, and it's just it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Name calling, shaming, blaming, unacceptable.
Yeah.
Enough of that. It didn't work.
So, yeah, sorry. And
yeah, it's nuts. Let's not do politics for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
People might not enjoy it. I don't know what the statistics are on who's listening.
Yeah, and it's not, discussing politics it just gets, at least me, it gets me in a bad mood anyway. So
yeah, that's what I was just thinking. That's the thing I was concerned about the most, was I was getting pissed off.
Talking about eggs and meat, it gets me in a good mood.
Yeah.
So what Goody? What you was?
Go ahead.
Go on, James.
Yeah. So what Goody was just saying about Ed was saying something along the lines of how we can help, or how he sees the future with ketogenic carnivore community
Yeah.
members
So
aiding
ba-
regenerative farming.
So basically, yeah. So long story short, I mean, if you guys ever want to look into, I posted a thread on it. If you go on my account, it's a quick thread, but the Oglala Aquifer,
Okay.
um, basically, where's my comment? So the Oglala Aquifer is a shallow water table aquifer surrounded by sand, silt, clay, and gravel. It's located beneath the Great Plains in the U.S., and so it's one of the largest aquifers in the world. It's approximately 174,000 square miles, and it ranges across 8 states. So basically, 27% of irrigated land in the entire United States is lying over top of the aquifer, and it yields about 30% of the groundwater used for irrigation in the United States. So, an extremely large chunk of uh, irrigation and agriculture is using this aquifer, and basically it's being drained. It's being drained at an alarming pace. It's being drained faster than it can be restored. And I was having like a conversation with Grok, and it was basically saying that water intensive farming is the main cause of this. So if you're growing soybeans, if you're growing corn, that's really bad. And it was saying that pasture raised farming has a less detrimental impact compared to water intensive farming like corn and soybeans. And I just pull it up quick. It just said that grazing on pasture can lead to improved soil health through practices like rotational grazing, which enhances soil structure, increases organic matter, and improves water infiltration rates. And so I just tagged Ed, who's like really interested in regenerative agriculture, just to kind of get his
Mm.
thoughts on it. And he said it's because the climate. Well, that's something. Basically, he said water infiltration and cycling, he said the carnivore movement could actually make the most impact in regards to droughts, floods, fires, and restoring aquifers. So, I think just keep on with this regenerative agricultural stuff. There's a lot of benefits to it, and you know, if if a vegan is coming at you from a climate crisis perspective, just say, why are water intensive crops? Those are what's actually extremely harmful to our water
Mm.
resources. So
Yeah, and then from a vegan's perspective is that's what you feed the cows.
that's
So
where
this is
regenerative
Ed,
ag
and
comes in.
exactly, and that's where Ed comes into it. Is actually, let's think about grass fed and land movement,
Yeah.
cycling, etc.
Yeah, I mean there was a vegan. Someone came on Reddit's carnivore diet subreddit the other day and was like, "I'm a vegan. Can I have the same values as on a carnivore diet?" And it's basically implying that if you're on a carnivore diet, you don't value animals and animal cruelty and resource management. A lot of us really do value that stuff, and like
Mm-hmm.
Sean Baker has said, well, if you want to feed the population, you need to have feedlots and this and that. Well, we got to think of the bigger picture sometimes and say,
Yeah, but
well,
guys, vegan logic is if you love me, you will do what I tell you to do, even if it
Mm.
is detrimental to you. It is gaslighting, shaming, blaming. It's a manipulative tactic that they use, and if you if you don't agree, they're gonna up it, and you can see it in
You're a
any
bad person.
conversation,
Yeah, exactly.
with a vegan. Within three responses, it's ad hominem attack. you
Mm.
know
Yeah,
and
it is,
these people are mentally unstable. They are not healthy
for
people.
sure. But this is a huge argument point for, I'm not saying go talk with vegans and stuff, but if you want to, there are vegans out there that aren't as
It's
crazy.
pointless.
There are
What?
some that aren't as crazy out there. And my only
in
point
yeah,
is,
but in real life, whereas
yeah,
I've really tried to have conversations with them on X, and it just
yeah,
comes to exactly what Klaus says,
yeah.
like just absolutely just
Well, a lot of them,
disengaged
a,
brain.
a lot of these, well, the ones online are gonna be the craziest. But I'm just trying to say that like a lot of them are misled, and like the counterpoints they've been trained to know how to respond to. But if you bring up things like Oglala aquifer and how water intensive crops are totally ruining our water resources.
Mm.
What are they going to say to that? And like if you say it's animal agriculture,
No,
then
they
you
just insult you.
but then you pivot and you say, well, I'm with you. Like I believe
Why?
in regenerative agriculture. Like
Why?
what's
I've tried it. I've tried it
No,
all. So there's two
it's
things. There's
it's pointless.
two.
It's like having. Anyway,
I'm
it's
not
like
saying
having.
I'm not saying go have a conversation with the vegans. I'm just
No, no, no.
saying, these topics could have bridging gaps, and for the people that, because there's a lot of people eating standard diets that don't eat healthy, and like they might get persuaded to try a vegan diet. But if you get to those people and you talk to them about things like that, it might make them see things a little bit differently.
There's
Possibly,
two
yeah.
quotes. There's two quotes that come to mind. One is when it comes to talking with vegans is you can't argue with stupid because they'll bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. And then the other one is Mark Twain, which is
It's a good one.
it's easier. This is a good one. It's easier to fool someone than it is to convince someone they have been fooled.
Yeah, very true.
So like with me, that's where like I don't really do good in arguing, because like ever since I had my colon removed, like it's just been really obvious how food digests. Think of it like this. Imagine you eat all this different things, but then you have an increase in bowel movements, right? How could something possibly be beneficial if your body's trying to expel it? So then I came up with this logic that, well, what my body's keeping, what my body's using the most, probably wants that the most. So like without a colon, I get a very clear cut perspective of that. But when it comes to arguing, I can't just say, well, this is how it is, but I just know that's how it is. And like I think with a lot of these people, sometimes they get really good at reading studies, they get really good at reading scientific literature that doesn't always hold up. But it's like, I don't fucking know what to say to that. Like it's just a lot of people try to sound super smart and talk about things that you just can't comprehend. And just remember, if you're having a conversation or a little bit of a debate with someone, it's critically important that your point is being understood, or else you're just arguing.
Mm.
And a lot of vegans
It's
do that all the
nuts.
time. That's my only point. So
Yes. Yeah. 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 No, it's true. Yeah.
like when I
But
listen to
I
like
think
if you listen to like Anthony Chaffee, he's debated vegans, and it's like you can't even comprehend what they're saying half the time.
well because they don't even know what they're saying.
Right, but they bring up a very specific study or this and that, and it's like,
Yeah, I just think the quickest way to get through the formalities of then being insulted is to simply go through the fact of so a wheat field. There's about 300 deaths per acre of like any sort of animal in a crop field. So that's 300 deaths. Whereas if you eat a grass-fed cow, which produces about 1,900 meals for an average person, so probably 1,000 for a carnivore or someone like that, you're taking one life. And a
yeah.
vegan to eat 1,000 loaves of bread or whatever in an acre, I don't know, someone can do the maths. You're taking 300.
My
And then even if you're having a grain-fed cow, you're only taking one more life than what the vegan is.
and then on
And
top
if
of
you're
that,
having
the water thing too.
yeah, and if you're having pasture-raised eggs, where they're just out there enjoying life, and all you're doing is eating their eggs, what is wrong with that?
hmm
Then they say it's a period. Well, it's not a period; it's an egg
It's a
in a
period.
shell.
What's a period?
Yeah,
Like a female period?
yeah,
What? Huh.
it is. It is, but it's not. It's an egg.
Yeah, come on. It's
It's
it's some
it's
juvenile.
crazy.
It's a combination of you know juvenile idiotic thinking and acting. It's you know I can't say what I really mean, but
Mm,
that's the gist of it. Juvenile, naive, insistent, and mentally disturbed.
It's interesting because someone close to me was telling me that there was a study came out that venison meat causes Alzheimer's. And I was like, that's fucking news to me. But I was listening to Joe Rogan because he just had a guy that I'm a really big fan of named Steven Rinella. He's actually called the Meat Eater. If you guys listen, if you go listen to Steven Rinella, he's fucking sick. But he actually brought up the study, and what they do is they go interview a ton of people, right? And then you got 88% of the population eats meat, or X amount is a hunter. And then basically they just find like, oh, well, 16 hunters have Alzheimer's disease. There must be a correlation with venison consumption and Alzheimer's. But the bottom line is, you test enough people, you get a large enough sample size, you can manipulate that, and you can just you can kind of say whatever you want. So it's
yeah.
It
could be the cigarettes. It could be the alcohol they've also consumed all their life. It could be the sugar, etc. But they just think they've all had venison, so let's go for the venison. Yeah, it's nuts. I've had fucking hell.
And then it's like, it begs the question too, because he was saying like, when there's things of medical interest, like, and like if a study isn't like necessarily finalized, but it's of medical interest, they can kind of get it out to the public a little bit faster. And it just kind of begs the question of like all this rhetoric of, well, we don't know if seed oils are bad. We don't know if soybean oil is bad for you. Well, how the fuck do you know venison is bad for you? You know what I mean? So it's like, I just, it's all, there's an agenda, and you got to be able to think for yourself a little bit at the end of the day. And I always try to understand the why. Like, it's good to follow like heuristics. You could find a Sean Baker, somebody that you trust, but know the why.
It's the same with when Brian Johnson quotes a study that says that you get cancer from eating meat.
Exactly.
I mean, what the hell? I mean, come on, guys. This nonsense has been debunked so many times, and yet he still goes and quotes this nonsense.
Yeah.
Because he has psychological issues.
Copium.
I got to get out of here, you guys, because I got to go.
Guys, he wouldn't be a vegan. Anyway.
I got to go pick up this 10 pounds of suet from this farmer. I don't want to be late.
Yeah, nice. So, okay.
Yeah. Send photos.
Yeah.
Great chatting.
Post photos.
Yeah, I will.
Anyway, guys. We can
just wrap, shall we?
All right.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.